In the gospel reading that we hear today, we hear of an event, a conversation that our Lord has with the disciples following the cursing of the fig tree, the gospel reading that we heard just last night. It is one of the heaviest of gospel readings, one of the heaviest of the sayings of our Lord, in which he tells us that in the world there will be suffering, incomparable suffering, and not just in the natural world with earthquakes, but even nation against nation in war. He prophesies and tells us that evil men will leave even the righteous astray. And perhaps most sorrowful of all, we hear his words, we hear him say that even love will grow cold. That in the time and the days to come will be enough just to hold on. Despite what some who claim the title Christian say, our Lord did not promise us prosperity. He promised us a cross. And so, beautifully echoing the gospel reading is the beginning of the reading that we had in the Old Testament, where we hear of Job. This story of Job is perhaps the story par excellence of suffering. A man who loses everything, whose children are taken away, whose wealth is taken away, whose home is taken away, whose very health is taken away, and there, suffering upon a heap of dung, his own wife turns her back on him, telling him to curse God that he might just die. I was always troubled by the story of Job. Something in it didn't resonate, didn't feel right. For those who have come after the time of Christ, our Lord, who has raised to this most sacred position the person, it didn't make sense or seem right that Job would be okay even though he had new children, because each person is irreplaceable. Upset reading the story because Job never receives an answer. God does come to him and does speak to him. And some writers have said that after the presence of God before him, all of his suffering seems superfluous. And yet this too did not seem enough. The answer, the peace of my struggle with the book of Job came in an icon. And this icon, Job, who's lost everything in his suffering, beseeching God, and God comes to him. But in the icon, he does not come to him as he does in the book, out of a whirlwind, a mere voice. But our Lord comes to him as the incarnate and crucified Lord. A contemporary theologian has said, Job's cry is silenced by the hand of God, not because it is the mightiest of hands, but because it's the hand that will be pierced out of love. And if we read the book of Job within the light of this icon, we learn that it's the story of mankind, that all of us will suffer, all of us will lose and experience pains, both physical and mental and spiritual. And yet, as we have seen in this icon and as we hear in the gospel reading, our Lord will not abandon us. That as lightning that we saw so beautifully depicted for us in the sky last night, and as our Lord says, flashes from the east to the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. And we know that our Lord, who was crucified for us, when he comes again, will silence our cry and our lament as he did with Job, because he loves us. He loves us with a mania, as the fathers say, a mania that will be so beautifully painted before us with icons, illustrated for us with hymns in this upcoming week. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the coming bridegroom, be with you all.